In the heart of a noisy, unforgiving city stood a man named Arn, a gifted artist known not for his fame but for his reclusive nature. Arn lived alone in a tiny apartment with walls lined with unfinished canvases and drawers full of unsent letters. His life was quiet but not peaceful. While the city outside buzzed with honking cars and hurried footsteps, inside him, there was a deeper noise, regret, fear, and a gnawing sense of purposelessness. Despite the praise he received for his art, Arn always felt like a fraud. As a child, he had lost his parents in an accident and had been raised in a cold orphanage where emotion was weakness and survival was the goal. He had learned to suppress his feelings, to stay quiet, to avoid being noticed. His talent had emerged in that silence. His paintings spoke the words he never dared to, but even with his skill, Arn felt empty. He believed his happiness would begin when he sold a masterpiece, got recognition, or bought a better home. Yet each small success left him more anxious, as though joy was always one step further. One day, after delivering a commissioned piece to a wealthy collector, Arn wandered aimlessly through the city, unable to return home. His feet led him to a part of town he didn't recognize. The buildings grew older, the people fewer. Just when he was about to turn back, he noticed something strange, a narrow archway overgrown with vines and flowers, almost invisible behind an abandoned bookstore. Curious, he stepped through. Beyond the arch was a garden, lush, serene, and strangely silent. Flowers bloomed in orderly chaos, birds chirped gently, and a stone path led to a small wooden house surrounded by fruit trees. The air smelled of jasmine and soil. It felt like stepping into another world. An old woman stood tending the plants. She wore a wide-brimmed hat and moved with a grace that defied her years. She looked up and smiled warmly. "You found the silent garden," she said, as though she had been expecting him. Arn blinked. "What is this place?" "My home," she replied, wiping her hands. "And a sanctuary for lost souls." "I'm not lost," he said, instinctively defensive. "Then why did you follow silence?" He had no answer. The woman introduced herself as Naila and invited him for tea. The inside of her home was simple, handmade furniture, dried herbs hanging from the ceiling, books stacked in corners, and walls covered with pressed flowers. They spoke little. Naila didn't push him to open up. She served hot tea and let the quiet work its magic. Arn didn't understand why, but he kept returning. Day after day, week after week. Something in the garden called to him. It was the first place he didn't feel judged or pressured. He began helping Naila prune plants and plant seeds. She taught him how to listen, not just to the earth but to his own breath. One afternoon, Arn found himself asking, "Why do you live here alone?" Naila smiled. "I'm not alone. This garden is alive. The world is too loud out there. People listen more to noise than to truth." "And what is the truth?" he asked. "That everything you seek outside is already inside you." Arn pondered her words for days. That week, he met Ravi, a boy of about 10 who often visited the garden. Ravi was in a wheelchair, his legs paralyzed from birth. But the child had the brightest smile Arn had ever seen. Ravi loved butterflies and would laugh every time one landed on his finger. "How are you so happy?" Arn asked him once. Ravi shrugged. "Why not? I get to see beautiful flowers, hear the birds, and Naila always lets me eat her mangoes." "But you can't walk. Don't you ever wish things were different?" "Sometimes," Ravi said honestly. "But wishing too much makes you forget what you have." That sentence struck Arn like a lightning bolt. How often had he done just that, focused so much on what he lacked that he ignored all he had? Arn began painting again, but differently this time. He painted the garden, the butterflies, Ravi's smile, and Naila's hands covered in soil. His work now came from a place of stillness rather than striving. He didn't care if anyone saw it. One morning, Naylor asked him, "Do you know the story of the lotus?" Aaron shook his head. "The lotus grows in muddy water. It cannot bloom unless it rises through darkness and dirt. The uglier the water, the more beautiful the bloom. That's life, Aaron. Don't be ashamed of your mud. Rise through it." That night, Aaron cried for the first time in years. He wept for the boy he used to be, for the pain he had buried so deep it turned into silence. He wrote a letter to his younger self and burned it in the garden's small fire pit, watching the smoke rise like a prayer. Over the next few months, Aaron transformed. He laughed more. He smiled at strangers. He started a small workshop near the garden to teach underprivileged children how to paint. Ravi was his first student. Then one day, Naylor was gone. He waited days, then weeks. A note lay on her kitchen table. "Dear Aaron, I was only meant to guide you to yourself. My time here is done. The garden is yours now. Tend it with love, share its silence." Aaron sat on the garden bench, staring at the sky, holding the note. A soft breeze stirred the leaves. The silence was no longer empty, it was full. Full of lessons, of memories, of love. He kept the garden alive and turned it into a healing center. People came from across the city, burnt-out workers, grieving parents, lonely teenagers. And each found something in the silence. Years later, Aaron stood under the same archway where he had first entered, watching a new visitor walk in, a woman with tired eyes and hurried steps. He smiled gently. "Welcome to the silent garden," he said, and the cycle began again. Lessons from the silent garden. Pain is not your enemy. It is the soil from which your strength can grow. Joy is not in what you lack, but in what you already have. The present moment is the only place peace exists. Helping others heal will help you heal yourself. You are enough, not when you become something else, but even now. True happiness is not in the future. It is in the stillness of now. Are you ready to listen to your own silence?